You are listening to Keep Canada Weird, a weekly weird news roundup by the Nighttime Podcast.
Hello, listeners, and welcome back to the weekly Keep Canada Weird discussion series. If you're new here in Keep Canada Weird, my pal Aaron Airport and I typically seek out and explore some of the more offbeat Canadian news stories from the past week. But in tonight's episode, which we recorded on the moonlit evening of October 16th, 2022, Aaron and I were overtaken by the spirit of Halloween, and as a result, we made a decision to focus the show's attention to one of Canada's weirdest and perhaps most terrifying periods of time. Of course, I'm talking about the creepy clown scare of 2016. Let's get into it.
Creepy clown sightings have spiked. Nearly a dozen cases have been reported, but so far no one has been caught. Police are warning today if you come across one to call them immediately. Allison, a woman was chased just last night.
Handsome Aaron Airport, it is my favorite time of year. It's almost Halloween. It's All Hallows Eve, almost.
All Hallows Eve. Oh, how gothic of you.
How did All Hallows Eve? Does that mean like the evening of Halloween? Or do you
All Hallows Eve. I'm probably terribly wrong, but I always thought of it as like Christmas Eve.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe the night before Halloween was All Hallows Eve.
Okay, let's go with that.
Sure, yeah. Even though they refer to that as Devil's Night.
Yeah, you're supposed to do something nasty and naughty.
I'm naughty. Ooh. Provocative.
Well, I mean naughty in terms of like not bad,
Listen,
but kind of.
Just
What's it
let
called?
the listeners use their imaginations as to what you feel naughty is.
Well, the type of prank I'm thinking. Did you? What is the name for this? I was watching a show with my son the other day, and someone. Actually, we were watching old Saturday Night Live skits, and someone knocks on their door, and they go to answer the door, and there's a little paper bag on fire, and the owner of the house stomps out the paper bag and realizes there's like dog poop in it. That was my son had like never heard of this prank before. He had no idea what was going on, and I had to explain it to him that like people used to do that as like a prank. Wasn't there a name for that?
I don't remember it having a specific name other than
Like a
just,
burning.
hey, let's burn a bag of feces at my neighbor's door and watch him stomp it out from the bushes.
At old man airports.
Yeah. But the catch is Old Man Airport wants the poop on his shoe. So the actual trick is on you, youngsters.
Well, those types of pranks, I think, are long gone. Pranks nowadays need to be kind of like social media content friendly. And that's kind of a segue into what we're going to get into. But let's not put the cart before the horse. First of all, this is going to be the first of two Keep Canada Weird Halloween episodes. Let me just ask you how excited you are for this, because I'm pumped.
I am also pumped. I'm excited for both of them. Kick off tonight with our first part. And first part Halloween special, and it's going to be special.
That's a nice way to put it. We're not going to be covering weird news that is modern. What we're going to do is hop in the Keep Canada Weird time machine. We got to travel back in time about 6 years to the year 2016, where for some reason that I think we'll be able to explain, hopefully at the end of this episode, North America, if not the entire world, found itself overtaken by a bizarre case of mass hysteria that manifested itself in a fear of clowns, clown-related attacks, clown incidents, a whole bunch of people called it clown-pocalypse of 2016.
Oh, yeah, that's a catchy name for it.
Clown-pocalypse works, but we're going to title this episode simply the Clown Scare of 2016. How well do you remember this time where for 2 or 3 months, people seeing creepy clowns was just like a thing?
Yeah, it was a big thing. I remember it pretty clearly. I remember it starting a little bit and then it just catching fire, and it was everywhere. It felt like after a while, and it was just clown sightings, and some were fairly innocent. A lot of them was just people kind of appearing as clowns off in the distance, maybe like in the woods, peering out, or maybe standing by a car or something, whatever it was. Like a lot of them seemed to be done maybe in good fun, but then some of them were dark as well. I
Yeah.
remember.
And we'll get through a lot of them tonight because I'll tell you, I had an amazing time going through the history books, finding contemporary news reports of clown sightings, clown related incidents, appearances of clowns. Actually, one of the things I really enjoyed was hearing how the police or reporters would describe the event. Some, again, were clown related incident. Some clown sighting. Clown attack was used quite a bit.
Yeah.
Let's start with this. Why clowns? Are you afraid of clowns? Do they make you feel uneasy?
We talked a little bit about this before in a very clown specific episode that we did about Klutzy the Clown. And yeah, like I don't have a specific fear about clowns. They're not something that people really look at as entertainment anymore. Like clowns have totally been taken over by, the horror genre, I guess, has totally taken it over. And now they're only seen as kind of scary, creepy entities, really.
Yeah, and there's kind of like I in my mind there's like two versions of creepy clowns. There's like the demonic creepy, and then the like I don't want my kids around that clown creepy. We did a episode before about the latter of those options. We did Dale Klutzy the Clown Rancourt, who is a Cape Breton based children's performer who performed as Klutzy the Clown, who eventually was arrested for having an inappropriate sexual relationship with a child. Tonight, we're not going to be talking about that type of clown. We're going to be talking about the creepy, demonic, satanic, rip you apart and kill you kind of looking clowns.
Rip you apart with their bare hands.
And their massive claws and fangs.
Their claws covered in pie custard, ripping you to shreds.
I do find clowns creepy. Even as a child, I remember always being uneasy with the idea of like a grown man with a smile painted on his face, carrying balloons in a big, weird, plasticky kind of suit. It is just the aesthetic and the image of it. It's like this kind of carryover from a past era that just seems out of place nowadays. Almost like when you see, I don't know, like someone in an Easter bunny costume from the 1940s, you're like, whoa, that is a creepy looking person in a bunny. I've always kind of got, or you see the old photos of like a Santa costume from, the 1930s. It's just super creepy. I've always gotten that vibe from clowns. And I'm not surprised that they've gotten clowns have gotten taken over by the horror genre. There's quite a few notable examples. Of course, there is Pennywise the Clown, which is the clown from the movie It.
Yeah, I think that was the nail in the coffin for clowns. It seemed like leading up to It, Stephen King's It, they were being kind of shown in a creepier light in movies and television shows. But then when It came out, it was like, all right, clowns are just scary now, and that's all they are. They're not entertaining. They're not fun. They're terrifying.
That It and Pennywise may have been the nail in the coffin of clowns, but they also took a pretty big lump or got quite the black eye with John Wayne Gacy, who is an American serial killer who also performed as a clown. Although that wasn't a part of his crimes, but quite a few photos went around of him, like after he was known to be a serial killer, went around as him in costume as a clown. And I think even from prison, he was drawing pictures of clowns and sending them and selling them to people. I'm talking about Gacy. So it's, but I think those are, and of course, being a Cape Bretoner, we have Klutzy that we've already mentioned. Those are like kind of my three clowns that make me say, I don't want clowns in my life going forward.
Yeah. And even McDonald's has steered away from using Ronald McDonald. Do you find you don't really see him in the marketing as much anymore. Like you do see at the odd time, like he's kind of maybe a picture of him somewhere, but he's very light in the background
Yeah.
of the whole McDonald's universe now.
He's certainly not like interacting with customers and children like at a restaurant in their
No,
marketing or advertising. They should have stuck with the Hamburglar, although he was kind of a
no,
bad
he's
kid
a
too.
criminal. No,
Yeah, they can't support that. I guess they
no,
just
no.
need to.
Grimace, Grimace maybe should be the only McDonald's mascot going forward because
You can't cancel him.
you can no, Grimace has done nothing wrong in his life. Check his internet history; it's clean.
Well, let's get into our topic here. Again, I'm going to title this "The Clown Scare of 2016" because I think that's the best way to title this. It takes place largely in September, October, November of 2016. It's kind of contained into those several months. We talked a little bit about it earlier, but it seems like anyone who knows this story and remembers this time will remember some kind of clown related incident happening in their town. And that's one thing about this story is it went coast to coast. Well, even more than that. It went pretty
Yeah,
much all around
worldwide.
the world.
Hmm.
And it seemed to be happening everywhere. I was living in Halifax at the time, and I know I first learned about it because of an incident in Halifax, and I know there was some situations in Cape Breton. Do you
There
remember
was.
anything happening when
I
during?
vaguely remember them as being once it started to catch fire. I do remember a few sightings, and they were pretty innocent from what I recall. Off in the distance type clown sightings.
Yeah,
So I don't remember any of them being extreme.
yeah, so something like the more typical would be like someone in a clown costume standing near a tree
Yeah,
by a school or in a park or
yeah,
something.
which is still scary. Like it's not that that's not scary, but they're looking to scare people in the atmosphere of this clown phenomenon that's going on and not actually hurt anybody. But there are some people, around the world that got too far with their clown sightings.
So what we're going to do here is we're going to go through a series of clown sightings and reports of clown sightings that I've been able to dig up. I'm going to start with, I believe, coverage of the first clown sightings that I heard about. And this is, again, here in Halifax. So here's a news clip I found from early October 2016 from Halifax.
It's the stuff horror movies are made of, but clown sightings have come to the Maritimes.
They're pretty scary. Like, I don't know, I don't want none of them coming up at me.
Photos like these have popped up on social media sites recently, showing clowns at Halifax area high schools.
I think it's really creepy that people are doing this in the first place. And, a lot of kids are anxious enough about going to school.
Police are looking into this shot of a clown outside Halifax West High School. It's one of many sightings recently. In Lakeville Corner, New Brunswick, RCMP are investigating what appeared to be a clown jumping in front of cars. And yesterday in the Sackville area, there was a report of two people in clown costumes following another car. In Nova Scotia, Barrington RCMP arrested a Clark's Harbour man wearing a clown mask and grabbing at the clothing of a young boy. Police also arrested two teens in Colchester County after alleged clown-related threats were made online. Halifax police say it's no laughing matter.
You could be looking at public mischief charges. If they're making threats, you could be looking at uttering threats. And then if they're jumping out and grabbing people, we could potentially even look at assault charges.
Halifax Regional Police say while high schools seem to be the intended target, these clown sightings have sparked concern among students in all grades. Police say officers are working very closely with the school board to ensure schools and students stay safe. The Nova Scotia Education Minister has asked the Department of Justice and RCMP to investigate.
Children are becoming very frightened. I'm hearing from parents who say their children are afraid to walk to school.
Police have ramped up their school patrol, so instead of clown costumes, students will be seeing a different kind of uniform.
It's weird to look at that from a present day lens at how serious it was. They have quotes from the police communication people, the school board. Everybody is involved in this already. And as far as I could tell, what they're reporting on was pictures of people dressed as clowns outside of schools that were circulating online.
Mm-hmm.
So it's at this point, like I'm kind of focusing more on the Canadian side of this story, but at this point, it was already in the news down in the United States. Is it like it's really kind of started there and then flowed up through Canada? But that report in Halifax was the first I heard, because I remember that being in the news, and I remember reading it being like, when they're talking about like clown related threats and stuff, I was thinking it was like a specific threat against a school or something. But I think the threat was simply appearing in a photo near a school.
Yeah. Yeah. In this case, that was but they did refer to like people grabbing, like there's some clowns, like maybe not specifically at the school, but in some of these circumstances, jumping out of some forest or some bushes and actually physically grabbing someone. Like that's when you're going way too far with this. Like, standing off in the distance under the kind of atmosphere of this clown phenomenon that's going on, and everyone knows like, oh, that's someone dressing up as a clown standing off in the dark woods. I'm not as scared because I know it's kind of an innocent thing. But when you're jumping out and grabbing somebody physically, and there's a whole laundry list of reasons why you shouldn't do that, dressed up as a clown or not. Or
in general. But it's I'm going to jump to another clip here. That what we just played was Halifax, Nova Scotia. I'm going to play you the next clip in chronological order I've been able to find. This is a national news report, like one that's covering right across the country. So this will give a sense of the mood around Canada and give you a sense as well of how big of a deal it is. Listen to this.
A different kind of warning tonight about something more sinister, an unsettling trend in the U.S. that's popping up on the Canadian landscape. People dressing up as angry clowns and scaring children.
Students were anxious at this Toronto school.
I felt really scared.
After someone in a clown costume chased after them. Police detained 2 former students, but released them without charges. The latest incident in a troubling trend that has haunted U.S. communities for months. Some claim it started in South Carolina, where children reported creepy clowns trying to lure them into the woods. Then threats on social media closed schools in several states and in the Maritimes. There have been multiple sightings and arrests have been made. Police say there's nothing wrong with wearing a costume, but many are crossing the line.
If they're making threats, you could be looking at uttering threats. And then if they're jumping out and grabbing people, we could potentially even look at assault.
Justin, is that a clown?
Online videos are fueling the creepy craze and social anxiety. But folklore experts say it's not the first time.
There were actually reports of phantom clowns or scary clowns luring children or allegedly luring children back in the 1980s.
The author of It, which spawned the horror movie, is calling for calm. Stephen King tweeted, "It's time to cool the clown hysteria. Most of them are good." A message professional clowns want people to know before they get a bad rap.
Professional and part-time clowns are there to have fun.
But many aren't laughing and hope the creepy clown trend will peter out soon.
It's a lot to unpack in that one.
Yeah, this one's loaded with nuggets.
They bring Stephen King into it. He has to comment on it.
Yeah, that's the big one. Like Stephen King, like this is the top of the food chain here. Stephen King is weighing in on the clown craze. And this is the man that wrote It. He's part of the problem, right?
So good point. They should have been blaming him. They shouldn't have arrested him.
Yeah, like he was saying, okay, everyone calm down. This is going too far. But it's like, you're the one that took it there, like, yeah, maybe you didn't start the fire, but you threw gasoline on it.
Mm-hmm. That news clip referred to them as not creepy clowns, but angry clowns. People in angry clown costumes. It's a weird way to describe it. But they had briefly there, they included, I think they called him a folklorist. There's a clip of someone who's like, as far back as the 1980s, phantom clown sightings. I had this thing when I was thinking of like creepy clown stuff, or as they put it, angry clown stuff. When I was a kid in Cape Breton, behind my house is the woods. like a forest, and there's roads and stuff that go up in there. But there's this old lake that is it's called Gilholmes Lake.
Yes, I remember Gilholmes. I used to go swimming there all the time.
Yeah, so did I. And I remember this story that as you walk from where I live to this lake, you would walk by the rusted old remains of a van. It looks like someone left the van
Yes, I
there.
remember that van. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Crazy.
And the story that I got about the van was that it was this guy's van who used to drive around Sydney dressed as a clown, trying to get people to come in his vehicle. And then one day the police tried to get him, and they chased him out there, and he crashed and his car caught fire and he died, and they left the car there. I'm sure now as an adult that's not a true story. But
yeah, it doesn't sound true to me at all. I've never heard any stories about that van other than it was kind of part of the aesthetic as you were walking the path to Gilholmes Lake. There was just this old burnt van there, and it was just kind of part of the charm of going to Gilholmes.
Yeah, well, for me, that was like a part of a cautionary look out for clown story. It could have been my dad who told me that and made it up, and that would not surprise me. But I also have an older brother, so a lot of weird things have been placed in my mind when I was more impressionable. So I don't know where that came from.
Yeah. It's funny when you think back to those things when you're an adult, and it doesn't dawn on you until one moment you're thinking about something specific that happened that maybe an older sibling told you, and then you're like, oh no, they were just messing with me. Like, I remember this is a little off topic, but I remember one time my stepbrother, I think I was in junior high at the time, and I really didn't want to go to school the next day. And I was complaining about it to him the night before, and I was like, oh, I don't want to go to school. I got something going on and whatever. It's going to be brutal. I just wish I was sick tomorrow. And he's like, you know what? There's a trick you can do that'll make you appear sick. And I was like, what's that? He's like, if you put a bar of soap under your arm in your armpit while you sleep, you wake up the next day with like flu-like symptoms. And then they just go away after an hour or so. And so that way you're sick, you look sick when you wake up, and then you get to stay home, and then you feel better after that. And I was like, really? He's like, oh yeah. And so then I did that. I went to sleep the whole night with a bar of soap under my armpit, and woke up the next day feeling fine. And I'm like, oh, it didn't work. But it never dawned on me that he was just messing with me. I just assumed, oh, it didn't work. Maybe I'll try it again sometime.
Well, you went to school smelling great, I'm sure.
Yeah, only under one arm.
Let's get to the next clip here. So I want to back up to, in that national clip we just heard, they described schools in Toronto being closed briefly. There was a social media threat that said something like, schools are going to be hit in Toronto, and it had like a picture of a clown. That led people to be scared and concerned. They shut schools down for, I think, one day in some areas of Toronto. That news clip also referenced schools being closed on the East Coast, and I believe it was in Halifax that a school was closed for the day, but I could not find any reference to it beyond that clip. But in Edmonton, right around this same time, October 2016, schools, in fact, were closed down. Here's a news report about it.
The epidemic has been spreading across the U.S. and Canada, and now the creepy clown craze appears to have crossed the Atlantic. Police officers in the U.K. are investigating several reports of people dressed up like clowns, sometimes carrying weapons while chasing people. As Mike Droulet explains, police say these creepy clown sightings are no laughing matter.
There hasn't been much to laugh at in Edmonton this week, even if clowns were at the center of the story. 4 schools over 2 days were put on alert after online threats made by people dressed as clowns.
The clown said he was going to go to McNally and then do something that was probably ill-advised.
The threats proved to be unfounded, with 2 students eventually arrested.
They had no previous police dealings, whatever, and now they have a criminal charge. And how detrimental is that to their future, for future career opportunities, for future education, for travel?
The eerie epidemic has swept across Canada from Halifax to Vancouver. Pictures of clowns threatening violence on social media. as well as terrorizing children in playgrounds.
I heard about all the clown stuff going down in the U.S., but didn't think it would all come over to Canada.
Oh my God. The majority of the clowns appear to be teens or people in their 20s, although this older man was arrested in New York for alleged social media threats. In Nebraska, threats targeted specific students.
They were talking about how they were going to come to schools and kill the kids and the teachers.
Nobody showed up, leading police to declare it a cruel hoax.
Do you have anything better to do? Really?
Experts say we're seeing what's called stalker clowns, people who get a thrill walking around and scaring people. And while we've seen a spike in occurrences this year, it's a phenomenon that's been around for a while.
Scary clown panics and hoaxes have gone on for many years. There were in the 1980s, for example, there were rumors and legends about bands of clowns that were going around allegedly trying to abduct children, and police investigated and found that it was essentially an urban legend.
These are certainly not urban legends, hoaxes perhaps, but nobody's laughing.
I think that clip is starting to show us kind of the dark side, where it's not so much someone dressed as a clown taking a picture, but it's more so like these social media accounts on Instagram or whatnot that are actually making vague threats against people in schools. And it seems to just be kind of, I don't know, the bar is just raising in terms of what they need to do maybe to get attention. I don't know.
Well, that's the power of social media. The difference between, say, if this was happening in the 80s, it kind of feels like it's on the perimeter, like, and it's not, maybe it's happening a little bit in one specific town or one specific area, but it doesn't catch fire like in a modern time like 2016, when social media is just become such a massive tool that everybody uses. And then you have people going on there and using it as part of, you know, scaring people with this clown situation. So it's going way too far with something that could be kept at a fun level and could be exciting for people to see. Oh my God, I saw a clown today. He was standing in the woods and it was cool, and I took pictures, and then I posted those pictures to social media. Say, oh, I saw a clown today, you know.
But this, you say, like, you know, like social media is adding fuel to the fire or fanning the flames or whatever. But what I think is interesting in listening to all these clips is you see the media doing it. Like, all of these reports from coast to coast are almost like an advertisement to, you know, people who want to start trouble in their neighborhood, which there are a lot of people who will see these and be like, you know, we should do it this weekend. I was able to find news clips like the ones we heard for almost every major city in Canada or the United States. In fact, even there's a clip we'll get to where the journalists and the reporters even talk about like the ethics of covering this seemingly harmful viral sensation.
Yeah, so that's the debate. You know, when you're in media, you have a certain responsibility to be like, okay, should we cover this story because people need to know it? But at the same time, is us covering it going to do more damage than it is good? And then the more they cover it, the more people are going to want to do it. It snowballs from there, you know, and gets worse.
So we heard of schools in Halifax, schools in Toronto. We just had schools in Edmonton. Here's a report about threats to schools in Vancouver, clown-related threats resulting in schools being shut down, at least momentarily.
Holy creepy clowns jumping out and scaring unsuspecting victims have left people across the continent shaken.
It was like a nightmare coming true right in front of me.
On Thursday and Friday, police in Prince George put schools on lockdown because of social media threats involving clowns. A 16-year-old boy faces charges for mischief and uttering threats.
The RCMP throughout the country have been involved with nearly 200 such cases.
Social media clown threats have also been made at schools in North Van. A clown with a bat chased a group of teens in Newton, and the Langley School District sent a letter to parents warning. On 2 recent mornings, students have reported being confronted by a stranger in a clown mask on the way to school.
Terrified.
Psychologist Jody Samra calls the creepy clown phenomenon a form of bullying.
And they're essentially kind of preying and looking for a reaction, and they're being very effective in getting that reaction. It's unexpected.
Some people enjoy being scared, even by clowns. And at this time of year, there's no shortage of opportunities for them to get their fix in controlled environments. Police are urging creepy clowns to leave the scaring to the professionals.
I would encourage anybody that is thinking about participating in these types of hoaxes or threats to think twice about that. It's not a joke.
Dressing as a clown isn't illegal, but threatening behavior online and in real life is. So that's what police will be watching for. I said schools were shut down. They weren't shut down, put on lockdown, which is a different thing. But as a parent of school-age children, when a school is on lockdown, it's kind of freaky for the kids, especially for younger kids. It involves all these different kind of measures within the school
there's
taking
procedures
place.
they have to follow, and everybody under your desks or everybody in the corner, together or something.
Or just no going in the halls, no going outside at recess. Like the kids notice that. They hear in the news reports in the evening while they're eating supper about these clowns. Even when I was putting this episode together, I was playing one of the news clips, just listening back to it, and my 4-year-old came over, and immediately I stopped the clip. I do not want this kid seeing people dressed as clowns. And actually, the news clips, they very rarely refer to them as people dressed as clowns. They just straight up refer to them as clowns. As if it is this subculture on the internet making threats.
Well, at what point do you become a clown? The question we need to solve or answer tonight, or decide, we'll decide. Does simply putting on the outfit make you a clown? Or is there a particular set of actions and duties that you need to perform at a certain level in order to be referred to as a clown officially?
I think once you got the makeup on, you're a clown. It's
But if I put a police officer's uniform on, I'm not a police officer. So that's kind of is it the same with clowns? A clown to me juggles, does balloon animals, performs. But if you're just dressed as a clown, you're not a clown. A clown traditionally has talent. A clown performs, entertains in a variety of different ways. You need to be able to, in order to be a clown, drive in a very tiny car with a lot of your friends at the same time.
That's not easy.
None of these people are doing that.
No, certainly not. Yeah, you're right. But then again, I don't know if there's any kind of licensing or regulation of what makes a clown or
no, there's not an official governing body, I guess. But people go to clown school to this day. Theatrical performers study clowning as a type of performance, and it's taken very seriously. It's not clowning in the same kind of sense that, putting on a costume, being scary or creepy or whatever. It's, legit clowning, the way the professionals do it. And you can still go to school for that.
Yeah, one of the past clips we listened to, they just talked briefly to a clown, a self-declared clown, performer type clown. If there was a governing body for clowns, I think they would have stepped into this situation and said, stop referring to these people as clowns and start calling them people dressed as clowns.
Right. People dressed as clowns, I think, is the correct terminology we should be using, the correct phrasing. So people dressed as clowns. Because if you go out on Halloween, say, okay, you're going to go trick-or-treating, I'm going to dress up as a clown. I'm not going to be a clown.
Let's hear how people in Innisville, Ontario, which I believe is a community near Barrie, let's hear how they describe it and how they feel about this phenomena sweeping through their region.
The social media prank where people dress up like evil clowns to scare kids has arrived in our region.
What we've heard is that there's been a couple of posts on Instagram regarding Nantyre High School.
As students tried to focus on a more positive experience, others couldn't get their minds off the threats.
They added my sister on Instagram, so I kind of took a little personal.
Mello's younger sister, a junior in high school, was nervous the pranksters would target her.
She started freaking out and everything, so I told her not to worry and it's all gonna be fine, it'll all work out.
We received calls yesterday from parents and students. Obviously, they were quite concerned in the morning.
Police noticed the Instagram posts Thursday morning. Fortunately, no clowns appeared at the school, but they have shown up in other places. 2 teens in Toronto were charged yesterday for carrying out the clown prank.
So we would caution them not to do this. This is not something that's going to make them very popular.
Still, scary clown Instagram accounts like these continue to pop up, targeting other areas in Simcoe County. And while it's not clear whether it's just students posting the Instagrams and even carrying out the pranks, some say it's just not funny.
It's just pointless, really.
While no person has come forward to take responsibility yet, police do say officers trained in their cybercrime unit are helping with the investigation and are looking to track down the culprits.
For the record, that was a cop who said they shouldn't do this. This is not going to make them popular.
Mm-hmm. That was my favorite part of this video. Is it's like this isn't going to get you laid.
I like the guy who comforted his sister, but like it's all going to be all right. Like she's terrified clowns are going to eat her at school, and he's like, "Don't worry about it.
It's going to be all right.
It always works out.
It always works out. And hey, we're all going to die someday."
But it's kind of wild, hey, as you listen to the clips one after another, every city giving their own take on it. And these clips, they're all within a matter of, a week or two. So it literally lit up the news stations. But it does start to get, there's a couple clips that I have left that really show it taking a turn towards the dark side. I want to play you one that is, this is out of the United States. And now in the last clip we just heard from Innisfil or Barrie, they described like an Instagram, a clown related Instagram account that was like adding people from the school and kind of freaking people out online. There was a situation in the States right around the same period where it was a clown related Instagram account that was actually writing with people and interacting with them, and you'll hear what happened. Listen to this.
Hampton police patrolled Davis Middle School today after police say they arrested a 13-year-old girl. They say the teen used social media to hire a clown to murder her teacher.
I'm just floored by it. I can't believe that situation is going around in our community.
Rebecca Connolly is the mother of an elementary school student. She just found out about the arrest.
So it's just shocking. It's uncomfortable.
They say they found out about the teen's alleged murder attempt from an individual, but wouldn't say who. They also would not release the name of the social media account the teen contacted to kill her teacher.
I have a daughter that's in elementary school, and just to think that a symbol of that's supposed to be fun and happy time, they're just using it as a scare tactic. It's just unimaginable.
Police say the teacher the student allegedly targeted is aware of the situation and was not harmed. The teenage girl was charged with 1 count of threatening to kill by electronic message. The teen remains in custody at a local secure detention facility today.
Yikes. I couldn't find much of the details of what actually went on there, but as far as I could tell, one of these clown accounts or whatever we want to call them was writing with a student of a specific school, and the student offered to pay them to kill a teacher.
Yeah, I'm wondering what the teacher thinks, because it's not only is one of your students hate you so much that they're going to hire someone to kill you. So that's one part of it. Then to add to the fact that not only are they hiring someone to kill you, they're hiring a clown to kill you. It's just such a bizarre thing. Like, So why a clown to kill me? You know, like why not? You know,
Well, it
go
was
into
like-
the dark web, find a hitman, you know, a sniper of some kind, take me out quick and easy. You're gonna have some amateur person dressed up as a clown, you know, try to kill me, probably do an awful job at it. It's just going to be horrible on all levels.
Earlier in this episode, you talked about McDonald's seeming to kind of distance themselves from Ronald McDonald, or maybe just kind of putting him on the back burner a little bit. He finds his way into this whole mess.
Oh, he always does.
Listen to this.
Clown sightings, yeah, on the rise. They seem to be taking more risks now.
Is that a clown?
That's a prank?
Oh, heck you know.
Okay, yeah, look at this. It's so weird. This clown was seen hanging onto the back of a public bus in Detroit. Regular bus riders say, you know what, we don't think it's very funny. It's the latest in a rash of clown incidents all across North America and Britain. Detroit police say they're investigating. So because of all these clown sightings, arguably the world's most famous clown is taking a break from the spotlight. McDonald's says it's keeping Ronald McDonald on a low pro. That'd be low profile. The company said yesterday it's trying to be thoughtful as a result of the current climate around clown sightings in communities.
I think that's very smart. I think that's very smart for their brand as well. Move away from the clown brand and into whatever.
Send out the clowns.
So I wonder if this is when Ronald McDonald started to go to bed, so to speak. I wonder if this is what started it.
I think it started before that. But this was the excuse to go full throttle with pushing Ronald McDonald into the background and distancing themselves from Ronald McDonald. You know, because this would have been an opportunity for Ronald McDonald to take the spotlight and to, you know, forget what Stephen King tried to do. If anybody should be coming out and talking about this, shedding light on it, and speaking directly to these clowns, it's Ronald McDonald to say, what you're doing is wrong. You know, live your life as a clown the way I do, entertaining children, doing good. I'm a mascot. Everyone loves me. You know, this is what clowns are about. Clowns are not about that. So try to talk all of these wannabe scary clowns off the cliff. You know, come on back from the ledge, everybody. It's getting out of hand. Let's go back to what clowns used to be about. Fun, amazement, you know, wonderful, magical things. Do you believe in magic? Ask them that and see what they say.
Yeah, this was a missed opportunity, but it's...
But they wanted this to happen, and it also makes me think maybe McDonald's was behind this the entire time. So they want to put the stamp of, you know, on Ronald McDonald, get rid of him, but they don't know quite how to do it yet. So they've been kind of using him less and less, but then they're like, we need an incident out there.
A false flag.
A false flag of some kind that puts everybody's negativity towards clowns. They don't want to do it. And then it leaves us, McDonald's Corporation, with no choice but to push Ronald into the background.
Okay, that's an interesting theory. And I don't know if that's one that's been investigated.
No, it hasn't. But that's our job here at Keep Canada Weird, is to point these things out and get the right people involved and get them thinking about it. And it really makes me think that Grimace is behind the whole thing, you know.
McDonald's isn't the only retailer, restaurateur that was affected by this. I found a news report that specifically focused on how retailers were dealing with the decline in clown-related sales. This is an interesting one.
What happens when somebody puts this on, it becomes real.
real and seriously scary. Sean Hamilton has been selling clown costumes at his store for 25 years. But recently, more and more people are putting a sinister twist on the classic.
They're asking for the scariest clown that we have.
Creepy clowns date back decades, but the clown scare of 2016 is different. It began this summer somewhere in the U.S., some say South Carolina, where children reported clowns tried to lure them into a forest. Others suspected roaming clowns were a marketing stunt for a new horror film, but the production company denies it, and the sightings continue.
It's a clown!
Some clowns brushed off as pranksters. Others stopped by police, including in Canada.
People running because they are scared about the clown.
2 teens were given a warning by police for scaring children at a Catholic elementary school. For some retailers, the phenomenon is raising concerns. Target is pulling some clown costumes down off its shelves. McDonald's announced it is scaling back appearances by Ronald McDonald, a clown known for his children's charity work. And major national retailer Canadian Tire pulled clown Halloween decorations, saying it was being sensitive to recent pranks.
We've never seen anything like this.
This retail consultant says it's unusual for retailers to pull items when they're not recalled, but it's also strategic.
They want to protect their own image. They want to protect the image with their core consumer. And they're not going to take a chance on offending anyone.
Some of the evil clowns now are choosing to carry a weapon as well, too.
For Hamilton, pitchforks and knives take clown costumes too far. Still, he has no plans to stop selling.
And it's been a Halloween tradition that people dress up as scary clowns.
And with Halloween approaching, the creepy clown craze likely won't slow down anytime soon.
I would have thought this whole debacle, if anything, would have made clowns the go-to costume of choice that Halloween. But at the same time, I do remember hearing of people saying, if I see one, I'm going to hit it with my car. I'll shoot the clown if I see the clown. So maybe,
yeah,
I don't know why people would be not wanting to do it. But I could see a retailer being uncomfortable contributing to the clown craze of 2016.
Absolutely, yeah. And again, I wouldn't want, when all this is happening, if I had a young child and I'm going to take them out trick-or-treating, I don't want to see them dressed up as a clown. And I don't want to see them mistaken maybe for the people who are dressing up as clowns and causing this chaos. So I could see parents not wanting their children to go out as clowns that year.
Did you know a lot of the sightings we're hearing about seem to be a version of a social media prank that involves putting up videos or photos of the events online and getting a reaction? Did you take any time to look through any of these videos or photos that circulated back then?
I remember seeing them. And again, they all kind of morph together into one collage of just clown selfies to me, I guess.
Call them clown-related incidents.
Yeah.
I found a few that are Canadian that are quite freaky. One in particular, I'm going to just come out of the gate, guns ablazing. This is a video filmed during this era, 2016, October. This is in Quebec. The video shows, it seems to be shot from in a car in a remote kind of rural road where the people in the car encounter someone dressed as a clown who has a chainsaw, of all things. And they're speaking French. See, I don't know the language, so I can't tell what they're saying, but I can certainly recognize and understand the emotion in their voice as this happens. Check this out.
Je sais pas ce qu'il fout là en tout cas, mais. C'est quoi ça? Je sais pas. C'est quoi ça? Vas-y, avance-toi un peu pour voir. Ouais, bah, ou pas trop non plus. Ouais, attends, ouais, il a rien. Ouais, qu'est-ce. Tu fais quoi là? Oh, gamin, rentre chez toi! Allez là! Dégage! Bah, regarde, je vais écrire ça à la face là. Allez, vas-y, voilà, dans la gueule le flash. Tiens, dans ton cul, bâtard. Ouais. Putain. Qu'est-ce qu'il fait? Je sais pas. Pourquoi il se baisse? Oh putain! C'est quoi ça, gros? Ah, c'est pas une vraie, gros, quand même. Je sais pas. En gros, c'est pas une vraie. Putain, il est malade. Recule, gros. Recule, laisse barre-toi, gros. Barre-toi, il arrive. Oh putain. C'est quoi ça? Wow.
You have a strong background in acting and drama. When I see these videos, I often think like, is that just people acting trying to make something go viral? To me, when I listen to them, although again I don't understand the language, to me it sounds like sincere horror when the clown person starts revving a chainsaw. Did that come across as sincere to you?
Yeah, it did. You know, it sounds like they kind of they see the clown at first without a chainsaw. And they're kind of, you know, they're a little kind of timid, but they're kind of having a good time with it until the chainsaw comes out. And then it's all hands on deck.
This is a perfect example of like a creepy clown prank way crossing the line. Like a clown standing.
Because you're getting so far into, you're dancing with attempted murder here.
Yeah, certainly.
You know, so yeah, it's all fun and games online sometimes, and yeah, maybe you have a few buddies and you're like, wait till everyone sees this when I post it. But yeah, you're dancing in some dangerous territory here of going to jail for what you're doing.
Yeah, or if like the people in this car, what if they're out hunting and they have a rifle in their car or a shotgun?
Yeah. What if they're clown vigilantes and they're like, I keep a gun in my car for the next or first time I see one of these clowns.
And that would be a really interesting court case. If, you know, you're running at a car dressed as a clown in the middle of the night in the woods with a chainsaw that started and revving, and the person in the car shoots you. Like, is it justified?
It would be interesting to be the lawyer on both sides.
Oh, man, that would be a case.
Trying to figure that one out.
Here's another clown sighting. This one's not Canadian. This is Ohio, but it's another one where you can really feel the emotion. This is a few kids who see a clown or someone dressed as a clown, and they're talking about it, but the clown is gone, and they're talking about it, but then the clown comes back and all hell breaks loose. Here we go.
Swear to fucking God, man. We just saw a clown up over the suspension bridge, and I'm sort of freaking out about it. What the fuck? Yo, what the fuck are you doing, man? It's 7:30 in the morning. Have you heard about all this shit? People are freaking out about this. Yo, does he have a fucking knife? Yo, Patrick, he has a knife. Dude, what the...
So when they see the clown, they yell at it. They realize he's holding a knife. The clown starts running towards them, and they just, you know, take off. Also, to me, I don't know if I'm just like naive or something, but it seems like sincere. The sound of their voice seems like sincere emotion and shock to me.
Yeah, it seems sincere, although, you know, in a grainy cell phone camera world, it can be easy to fake that, I guess. But I don't know. It seemed legit to me.
Now, the question that has been kind of floated by a lot of the news reports we listen to is like, where did this start and why did this start? And that was a rabbit hole I went down quite a bit to kind of figure out, like, initially when I planned to talk to you about this, I kind of wanted to present it chronologically from the very beginning to the end, but it was very hard to find the beginning. But I have a pretty good idea, and I think it's about right, but it's not a clear start. It just sort of slowly picks up steam. So let me tell you a couple of the events that I think lead to this crazy situation from happening in 2016, and then almost overnight. You know, after Halloween and in 2016, it pretty much just blew over, and we haven't really heard about it again after that. But
yeah,
leading up to this, a lot of people point to two events as being the genesis of this. The first thing is in 2014, a very popular YouTuber. His YouTube name is DM Pranks. I don't know if he's even still doing his thing, but this person did prank videos that were often like kind of candid camera style. He would jump out and scare people, or have a bunch of like, I don't know, like what looked like dead bodies in an elevator, and he would film people walking into the elevator and seeing it and freaking out, just like a kind of an example. But one of the characters, or one of the common pranks that he did, was a character he called the Killer Clown, where in 2014 he would be dressed as your stereotypical demonic clown, and he'd be jumping out at people and running at them and chasing them, while the camera person filmed them running off and their reaction. And it's the reason he seems to be one of the people to point to at this starting, is his videos were just very popular, like, millions and millions of views of him dressed as a clown scaring people, which of course led to sort of copycat YouTube channel prank people doing similar styles, like skits or segments or whatever. That is one thing that people point to. But another, and I think this is also maybe takes what DM Pranks is doing as a kind of YouTube segment and mixes it with this more guerrilla style and a more subtle style, is a movie or a film was being filmed in Wisconsin. And the movie involved a creepy clown. And the clown, he wasn't like jumping out or chasing people. He was just he was seen by people just standing around in like parking lots and stuff. So people started to report it. And here I found a news story I'll play you. This is from early 2016. So what we see as the clown craze of 2016 really starts in September. But this is several months prior to that. And this is kind of one of the first news articles covering a clown-related incident. But I have a follow-up to this that maybe paints this as the first one where it was kind of in the local news and then spreading from there. So listen to this. This is Green Bay, Wisconsin. One sec here.
Welcome back. Neighbors in Green Bay getting a scare, seeing this person dressed like a clown by the intersection of Mason and Adams Street around 2 a.m. The pictures, all the talk on Facebook, and police say they've even received a few calls about the clown.
A person can walk down the sidewalk dressed however they want, as long as they're in a place where they legally can be, and they're not in a place that has closing time like a park. They can be there and dressed however they want.
Police say their options are limited in dealing with the situation.
So when you listen to that clip, after hearing all the clips we listened to earlier, it sounds very much the same in terms of style and how they're reporting on it and responding to it. That is clearly the first one I've been able to find, but this one comes full circle because they eventually figure out who this person was that was dressed as a clown, and I think they may have been in like a Walmart parking lot, and that's what generated the reports. And they were also walking around like under a bridge or something. But they ended up learning who it was, and it was people filming a movie. And the movie ended up getting released. The character's name was Gags the Clown.
Gags.
In 2018, a horror movie came out. Here's just a brief clip where they interview or they talk about the release. I don't believe they interview the director, but they talk about the release of the film in 2018.
Thanks for being with us. The horror comedy film Gags is making its Wisconsin premiere tonight at the Meyer Theater in Green Bay. The film, centering around a clown, now known as Gags, was shot in Green Bay in May of 2017. The movie made its world premiere at the Cinepocalypse Genre Film Festival in Chicago and finally comes home to Wisconsin tonight. The film begins at 7 p.m. And that is a really creepy idea.
Remember that thing?
Yes, when those photos were first released, we didn't know it was about a movie, and we just thought there was some creepy clown walking around Green Bay.
Well, imagine it's the middle of the night and you see that.
No, that's scary. That's
thanks.
terrifying.
So in my mind, that is where it all starts, with the filming of that movie.
Yeah. I think you're more correct with the Gags filming than you are with the
prankster?
YouTuber from earlier.
Well, what I think happened, though, is like the Gags filming, I think, was the first one that made it this kind of localized, local news kind of noteworthy kind of event. But I think eventually people started to kind of adopt the DM pranks style of presentation that was more like running at them with a knife and a chainsaw. Where Gags the Clown was more a photo going around of just a clown standing, across a parking lot away from someone.
Yeah.
So I think these two kind of events together are the best way to look at the entirety of what happened, but mixing in with a sort of mass hysteria that is perpetuated by either social media or the mainstream media, which certainly fans the fire by covering it from coast to coast. And and I can tell that when you hear these news clips, I think they're happy, some of them, probably all of them, that something like this has happened in their town, because it allows them to connect small town Ontario to this, North American phenomena or something. I don't know what
Yeah. Well, I mean, the media oftentimes is looking for things to cover. And then when they see something like this, it's like, all right, we get to talk about it too, and we'll be part of the entire story as well, the whole worldwide story that's going on now. And yeah, it's typical media stuff, that's not surprising of them. And they certainly are making it worse by talking about it all of the time when it's happening.
Yeah. Can you think of other phenomenons like this? The one that I point to that is almost the same in a lot of ways is that whole thing with the like the metal monoliths or obelisks or whatever that were appearing. You remember?
Yeah,
for a period of
the
time?
difference with that though is that takes a lot of logistics to pull off.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the clown thing is so easy to anyone to get a clown costume, especially that time of year leading up to Halloween.
Yeah, you just go to the dollar store and you get a scary clown mask and get a knife and run at somebody.
Yeah. So that's the difference there. Like the monolith one, was interesting, but there weren't as many because it's tougher to pull off.
Yeah, the barrier to entry was a bit higher.
You could argue crop circles as well.
Yeah, good point. Which also is the barrier to entry. That like this clown scare thing is like the Dollarama, like the dollar store version of those.
Yeah, anybody can do it.
Your effort is so low. You just really all you need is
a cell phone and a costume.
Yeah, $3 and someone with a cell phone.
Yeah. And whereas like crop circles, there were definitely some dollar store crop circles out there that you would see. You were like a misshapen circle where somebody gave up halfway through and then just called it a crop circle. But then you saw some elaborate crop circles that were just dazzling to look at.
Well, it would have been neat if there was some elaborate, dazzling to look at versions of the clown scare. Imagine if someone took it to the next level.
The issue with it being so easy for everyone to do it, it's like then anybody can do it and they're not creative with it. Then what started off is like, say, with this gag situation, the filming, like kind of the clown kind of standing off in the distance, that's creepier. Like that's more ominous than jumping out of a bush or running with a chainsaw or a knife or something. Like that's ridiculous and scary and dangerous.
Or like setting up an Instagram account that threatens a school by name.
But people weren't trying to find creative ways to do the clown scare. They weren't upping the ante in a creative way. They were just like, oh, did you see the guy with the chainsaw? Maybe I'm going to be a clown driving a pickup truck and I'm going to run somebody over. Yeah.
Yeah.
But kill them.
But like if it was kept kind of vague and the clown was always off in the distance, like if the people doing this had a code of ethics or a sort of boundary set, like you can't go near the people, you can't make a sound.
Yeah.
You can't have a weapon.
And then one gets posted and it's like, oh, look what, who did that one? That one is so cool. Like there's a row of clowns and or one clown is kind of flying or something, like maybe they rigged up some kind of a system where the clown is floating or something like that. Like just different things that they could do to kind of make it cool and exciting to come across, where the person who comes across it is the person who takes the photo and uploads it, and then it goes viral that way because it's like, this is the coolest one I've seen, and it was in my hometown, you know.
Yeah.
It's too bad it didn't go in that direction. It got taken over by people who weren't
Misfits.
creative with it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna scare the crap out of some kids, man.
Yeah, their version of ramping it up wasn't creative or intelligent. It was more just bordering on illegal or flat out illegal.
just straight up harassment.
Yeah,
you know.
But needless to say, an interesting phenomena, an interesting time to look back on it and think that for a short period of time in 2016, a good chunk of the world's population was afraid of evil clowns, and evil clowns being a noteworthy national news item. That's something cool.
It was an interesting time for sure. I remember it. It was, and when it started popping up locally in your area, you know, like everybody's area did, it was like, oh, here we go. It's here now. And hopefully it doesn't get carried away.
They're here.
They're here.
Let's wrap this up, Aaron. Do you plan to ever dress up as a clown and scare anyone?
Not unless I'm paid handsomely.
Yeah, my opinion about it as well. As we said, this is the first of 2 Halloween episodes. This one was more, this is a bit lighter. Why don't next week we really bring the scares?
Let's really bring the scares. And in fact, why don't you and I, for the YouTube viewers, have a little Halloween costume party?
Let's do it. Will there be music?
You and I will dress up, and for the people who watch Keep Canada Leered.
That's our spin-off show.
Yeah. We're talking about only perverts 24/7.
Keep Canada Leered. We just stare at people.
Yeah,
across Canada.
Across Canada. Come get leered at.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, here at Keep Canada Weird, we're gonna have a Halloween costume party.
Sunday night, 7:30 Atlantic time on the Nighttime Podcast YouTube channel. Aaron, until next time.
Jordan, until next time.
Don't.
Boo. Some clowns are nice.
I want to thank you for helping Aaron and I keep Canada weird, but let us also call out for further support in this mission. If something unusual happens in your town, let us know. And the best way to let us know is by sending us a voice memo at nighttimepodcast.com/contact. We both hope to hear from you. Now, I'm going to start wrapping this up, but before I do, I'm going to give thanks. A big thanks to Aaron for sharing another evening with me and with you, the listeners of Nighttime. A big shout out to the internet's favorite cult leader, Unicole, who supplies this series' intro and outro voiceovers. And lastly, but most importantly, there's a massive thanks to everyone who listens to Nighttime, as without your interest and your support, this show would be as pointless as it would be impossible. But with that said, keeping the show alive is and has always been an uphill battle. So if you want to help take a bit of weight off the show's back, please listen on the premium feed. And not only does the premium feed fund the creation of the show, it'll give you more of each topic than you'll find on the free feed, as I'm adding exclusive content regularly, and I maintain a full back catalog of episodes only on the premium feed. So for about the price of a cup of coffee, help the show out at patreon.com/nighttimepodcast. And with that said, let me thank the newest premium feed subscribers. Brittany, Christine, Lynn, and Dan, thank you for your generous support. And for anyone else who'd like to support the show but can't do it with a premium feed subscription, you can help keep Canada weird by letting like-minded friends know what we're doing here, and by sharing this episode on social media. If you have any story ideas, if you want to give feedback on the show, or contribute a voice memo for Aaron and I to respond to in an upcoming episode, you can do all that and more at nighttimepodcast.com. We hope to hear from you. But until then, take care of each other, hug your loved ones tight, and let us know if you see anything weird.
The Nighttime Podcast is written, hosted, and produced by Jordan Bonaparte. Copyright Jordan Bonaparte.
A woman says she was chased by 3 people dressed as clowns. This is just the latest in a number of sightings around the region. Creepy clowns have been spotted running up to people and walking down streets with the intention of scaring them. Kids have been approached outside of their schools while walking home and in public parks. It's a phenomenon growing in size around the world, and police are asking people to watch out, saying those dressed up as creepy clowns could be in danger too. An Instagram account dubbed Sketchy the Clown named and targeted certain students at Monsignor Doyle Secondary School. Police say this is becoming a drain on their resources.
In most cases, these individuals that are dressed up or disguised as clowns have simply been walking down the street. There are two specific instances or occurrences that we have investigated where one clown was carrying a stick, chasing an individual in the Hazel Street and Albert Street area of Waterloo. In the other situation on Friday, a young boy was chased by a number of clowns that were carrying a green sword and a replica handgun.
These two clowns chased him and a friend out of Big Hill Park around 9 p.m. Wednesday night.
They looked behind us and they had started running towards us, so we started going faster on our bikes.
He says they stopped at the nearest gas station where the attendant called police.
It's actually traumatizing.
His mother, Jennifer, says Kevin was shaken when he returned home that night.
So I decided to get on Facebook and I decided to warn all these parents. I couldn't even believe how many responses I got.
Saw a kid today walking down Dougal dressed as a creepy clown. And Jamie LeBreton says there was also a clown on Tranby. Others voicing their frustration with the copycat trend. Margaret Dowhand writes, "Don't people have better things to do than going around looking like clowns? Seriously." And Shannon Stevenson writes, "You should have turned around and punched him in the throat."
With Halloween approaching, we're likely going to get more and more calls, and we just ask the public to be cautious and to report any suspicious activity.
Michelle, we can definitely be seeing more of these as Halloween is still 3.5 weeks away.
And it's obvious that that's why it's happening now, and then hopefully it's just going to go away with the next big thing that comes along after Halloween.
Exactly.
Hopefully.
It's just one of those copycat effects that we see every couple of years.
And it's hard, right? Because on one hand, we don't really want to put this out there because then more people want to do it. But on the other hand, there's a message to parents and whatnot. So it's a difficult balance for sure.
Definitely.
Okay. Thanks so much. Stephanie Mazzotti reporting tonight in the news.